Hello viewers, pleased to meet you once again through this video. I am English CC Louis channel. In this video, I am going to help you to understand how to change exclamatory sentences from direct to indirect. So in my previous videos, I was trying to help you to understand how to change statements from direct to indirect, how to change interrogative sentences from direct to indirect, and how to change imperative sentences from direct to indirect. So if you had been watching my video continuously, you will know the continuation of it, and then if you watch this video also without skipping it over, you will have a complete view or complete understanding of what direct and indirect speech is all about. Okay guys, so before I start my teaching or my helping, I request you to please subscribe this channel, inform your neighbors, friends, relatives, give your comments, make use of this opportunity. So if you do that continuously, my videos will come to you as immediately as possible. You can go through all my videos and have a clear understanding about grammar. Okay guys, shall we go to the videos for today's lesson? Be with me, and then we will try to do the discussion in changing from direct to indirect the exclamatory sentences. Before we go to the changing of these exclamatory sentences from direct to indirect, I would recall your memory about what an exclamatory sentence is all about. Of course, when you hear the word exclamation, it is understood that it's a sudden feeling. It could be a sudden feeling of joy, expression of joy, or sudden feelings of sorrow, sad incidents. So it goes with the feeling of a human being. So therefore, it is known as the exclamation. So automatically, when it is changed into the indirect speech, the mood of the sentence should not be changed. Of course, you need to follow all the rules and regulations. The exclamatory part will be given within the inverted commas if it is indirect speech, and that will have to be changed into indirect speech. So what are we going to do? You remember, when we changed the statement from direct to indirect, we added the conjunction that, applying all the basic rules in reporting verb, pronouns, adverbials, and in tenses. And when we changed interrogative sentences, we maintain if the sentence began with a WS question word, we kept that question word, and then the rest as followed. But when an interrogative sentence began with an auxiliary verb, instead of that, we use the word if or whether, and then changing the inverted commas, words that are inverted commas, and the words that are spoken by the speaker himself or herself into indirect speech by applying all the basic rules. Okay? And in another video, in the previous video, we discussed about changing the imperative sentences from direct to indirect. And there we saw how to write the indirect speech by writing that beginning word as a verb into infinitive. Because imperative sentence does not begin with the subject and it begins with the verb. If it is positive, straight away it will begin with the verb. If it is negative, it will begin with the be verb with a negative connotation, don't. Again, there are two kinds of imperative sentences, command, and another one is a request. Whatever may be, the rules will have to be followed and it has to be changed from indirect to direct according to the rules and regulations that we have in grammar. Okay, now today I have written about 6 sentences here on the board. All these sentences are exclamatory sentences. All the sentences that are written within the inverted commas, they express sudden feelings of joy or sorrow or exclamatory moments. So therefore, depending upon the nature of the sentence, we are going to change that into indirect speech. So shall we go to the sentences straight away? Come guys, come, let's change. Let's look at the first sentence. What is your first sentence here? The child said, comma, open inverted commas, oh, how interesting the zoo is. And then you have the exclamation mark completed with the inverted commas, with the closed inverted commas. So actually the portion within the inverted commas are said by the child. A child is the speaker here. Okay? Now how are we going to change this? See now, the child is the subject here. Now when we come to the reporting verb here, remember I told you what are certain words that we can use when we are changing an exclamatory sentence from direct to indirect. Words like wondered, exclaimed, said in joy, said in sorrow, or shouted. So anything depending upon the mood of the speaker, you can use your words. Here of course, the child is happy. The child is very happy to see the zoo. So therefore, how can you express the feeling of the child by using an appropriate word here? So you can simply say, the child wondered. The child wondered, or the child said in joy, exclaimed in joy, whatever the feelings that you would like to have in your mind, you are free to do so. Okay, so now we have written the portion outside the inverted commas. Now let's come back to the portion within the inverted commas. Of course, all the exclamatory sentences, they will begin with an exclamatory words like alas, oh, of, which, hurrah, whatever. There are many words that you can think of in English. Depending upon the mood of the speaker, there may be certain words that will express the feelings of the speaker. Okay, see how interesting the zoo is. Again, remember, you must be very clear while changing an exclamatory sentence from direct to indirect. See, you have to be extremely clear. So now what shall we do now? After completing the writing of the portion outside the inverted commas, we need to insert the conjunction, the word that. So the word that. Remember, we added the word that only for the statements. Now again, we are using the same word, that, the link word, for the exclamatory sentence. Now, all your exclamatory sentences would end with a verb only. Would end with the verb, and of course, you have the exclamation mark and the quotation mark or inverted commas to complete the sentence with. Now, like what we did for the interrogative sentences, you remember interrogative sentences, the portion within the inverted commas, if they were the questions, direct questions, when we change them into indirect speech, we change them into, or we converted them into an indirect question. Similarly, here we have to do a same kind of action here, same kind of changes. What is the change here? See now, you cannot write the sentence oh, how, and all that. You cannot use the words. The words how, what, all these words are not question words. Remember that. You must be very clear. They are the expressions of the speaker himself or herself to show the real mood of himself or herself in the sentence. Now, when you say how interesting the zoo is, after watching the zoo, the child is very happy and expressing its happiness. So therefore, this particular portion within the inverted commas must be converted into a statement. So listen carefully. The portion within the inverted commas must be converted, changed into a statement. In order to write a statement, what do we know? What do we need? We need a subject, we need a verb and an object. Now all these words are there. Only thing is they are in different places. We need to identify them and then write it correctly in the indirect portion. Okay, now come back. How interesting the zoo is. Try to identify what the subject is. What is interesting? What is the subject there? The zoo. See? The zoo is your subject. Very simple. After writing the subject, we need to go to the verb. Where is your verb here? How interesting the zoo is. So, is your verb there. That is in present tense. So, it must be changed into past tense. So, therefore, that the zoo was. How was the zoo? Very interesting. Now, you can use the word very. No harm in that. Because you need to show the real feeling of the child. So, the zoo was very interesting. That's it. Over. See? And that the expression of the speaker is turned into a statement here. See what are the changes you have made? You have written the reporting verb here. You have added the conjunction. You have written the feelings of the speaker as a statement here. Subject, verb, and maybe an object here, and then the words that to help us to complete the meaning of the sentence. It could be adverbial, it could be object there, anything for that matter. Alright, so the child wondered that the zoo was very interesting. Any difficulty there in understanding this? Okay guys, so shall we move on to the next sentence? Good. So let me erase this. So first sentence is over. We move on to the next sentence here. Second sentence. The student said, what a complex problem it is. The student said, what a complex problem it is. So students were trying to work out a problem in mathematics. Problem, of course, you must not misunderstand. Problem here, it means a sum that the teacher was trying to help the students to understand in mathematics class. And they had found that the sum was very difficult. Now, come back now. The student said, comma, open inverted commas, what a complex problem it is. Now, you don't find any words that would express the exclamation or feelings. But it is understood. It ends with an exclamation mark and a quotation, inverted commas. And don't misunderstand this as an interrogative sentence. If it is an interrogative sentence, it would end up with the question mark. Since it ends with an exclamation mark, this is an example of an exclamatory sentence. So it has to be changed into a statement. Now come, let's start to change. The students, what is the problem of the students actually? What a complex problem it is. They were not able to understand, they were not able to solve the problem. So, what would be the feeling of the students? The students wondered. The students wondered. What did they wonder about? Conjunction, word that. What a complex problem it is. It has to be changed into a statement. So find out what is the subject here. What are the words that are used in subjects, nouns and pronouns. So what is the subject here? What is that? What a complex problem it is. You have the pronoun here. That is the subject there. So straight away you write it remains as it there. So that it then what is your verb? Is. So is becomes was here. What was the difficult? The complex, that it was a complex problem. See, that it was a complex problem. We have made that into a statement. But still you get the same feeling. The students wondered. They were wondering, how are you going to solve this problem? So they were beginning to trying to work out in their minds. So that it was a complex problem. So you have the verb here, conjunction and the statement. And change the verb and then the object here. And difficulty here? Very simple. So we have been working on now. Now we are trying to change the exclamatory sentences from direct to indirect. Reported speech. So we move on to the next sentence, guys. Good. Now what about the third sentence? We move on to the third sentence. What is the sentence here? The tourist said, how magnificent the Taj Mahal is. The tourist said, how magnificent the Taj Mahal is. So here also you can write the same thing. The tourist said in joy or wondered in joy, wondered in amazement. See, wondered in amazement. He was amazed to see such a huge building or magnificent building, magnificent monument we call it. See? So the tourist wondered in joy about what did he wonder? After looking at the Taj Mahal. So what is the subject there? You must change this into a statement. Sorry, this one. You must change this into a statement. So what is the subject there? Said in joy. Before that, don't forget to write the connecting word that. Now what was magnificent? That the Taj Mahal. That is the subject here. The Taj Mahal. What is your verb? Is. So it becomes was here. How was Taj Mahal? Magnificent. See? Taj Mahal was magnificent. Very simple, guys. You can easily understand now. The tourists wondered in joy that the Taj Mahal was magnificent. Actually, was taken up by the beautiful or magnificent monument there, Taj Mahal. Okay? So go through and read the sentence once again. This is the answer to the third sentence here. Expressing or showing the feelings of the speaker. Okay? So we move on to the next sentence, guys. The more we write, the more we will become clear in our mind. Okay? So, let's go to the fourth sentence now. The children said, how beautiful the sky is. The children said, how beautiful the sky is. Again, this is the expression of the children. See? The children, straight away we will try to change. The children wondered. The children exclaimed. Or the children screamed in joy. The children screamed with happiness. Anything that we can express. With happiness that the sky and said and told it and said. Screamed with happiness and said and told that the what was beautiful? The sky. See, the sky was beautiful. See, the sky was beautiful. Looked at the sky and said. Looked at the sky and told. Of course, you can use all sorts of verb here. The children screamed with joy. Of course, I have written here with happiness. And remarked and wondered. Any word that you can use. That the sky was beautiful. Okay? Very interesting. And very simple also. So that is the fourth sentence. Now we move on to the next fifth sentence here. See, fifth sentence. What is our fifth sentence here? My father said, alas, the dog died at the end. Alas, the dog died at the end. Very simple sentence. Straight away, you can very easily change this into that speech. So straight away we will go there. My father said in sorrow. Said in sorrow. Here you have the word alas here. So try to remember the word that. And then the dog died at the end. There is nothing to change. You can straight away because you have already the verb here died. If you want, you can use that into past perfect tense. The dog had died at the end. So you can do that. The dog had died at the end. So in fact, he must have been waiting to see the dog die. See that? All the changes you have made here. Said in sorrow, expression of the father. Okay? So shall we go to the next sentence? Good, guys. Last sentence, or last but one. So we are done with the fifth one and the last one. The man wondered what a brilliant painting it is. What a brilliant painting it is. So you can easily understand now. You can come out with the answer already. It is already understood. The woman, the man, your verb is already there. So you can use the same verb. The man wondered. Okay? The man wondered that what was brilliant? The painting. That the painting that you have the pronoun it here as a subject. So it was a brilliant painting. That it was a brilliant painting. So you have the subject here, you have the verb, and then you have the object here. You have the conjunction word and the reporting verb before introducing the indirect part. Okay? Any problem there? Very simple, guys. Exclamatory sentences expressing feelings, and they have to be changed into indirect speech. By changing the exclamatory sentences, how are we changing here? We need to rewrite it as a statement. Rewrite it as a statement. Of course, without undermining the feelings of the speaker. That must be very clear. Okay, now as usual, we move to the other way about. Now we have been changing from direct to indirect. Now I will show you how to change from indirect to direct, 1 or 2 sentences. Then it will be easy for you. How to understand the feeling when it is written in indirect speech, in exclamatory sentences. So first of all, let me rub this off. Let me rub this and write sentences so that it will be easy. So more or less we will try to complete the direct indirect speech in this video. After this I will try to give you some exercises. I will try to give you some exercise. In other words, we will try to have some sentences changing from direct to indirect and indirect to direct. Okay, now, so let me write a sentence now. In indirect speech, having the exclamatory sentence. For example, the students wondered. The students wondered that it was an interesting class. It was an interesting class. Now, where do you find the expression of your exclamation here, feeling? Only with the verb that we have used here. Only with the verb that we have used here. So how do you write that into direct speech now? See now, the students said. Okay, the students said, comma, open inverted commas. You can use the exclamation mark here. Oh, now it was an interesting class. This is a statement there. So you have to write this as a feeling, as a direct question like. So it has to end with the verb. How would you write that? It was an interesting class. So you can say, how interesting the class is. So, exclamation mark, close inverted commas. Let me write another sentence. The doctor said to the patient, or the doctor said, or you can say today, use the word there. The doctor, what is the word that you can think of? Explained or exclaimed. Or said in sorrow. Any verb you can use. Exclaimed or said in sorrow or wondered. Said in sorrow that there had been a great loss of blood. Great loss of blood. See, the doctor said in sorrow that there had been a great loss of blood. Great loss of blood. How would you write this into a direct speech sentence? See now, the doctor said, comma, open inverted commas. What is the feeling with which you can express your exclamation here? You can use the same word, oh, or huff. Oh, in wonder. AWE you can use. So, even without that also you can write the sentence here. So, the doctor said, what did the doctor say here? Remove the word conjunction that here. And then straight away, there had been a great loss of blood. So, you have to give the expression. How can you say that? What a great loss of blood. What a great loss of blood. Now you may wonder, sir, where is your verb here? Where is your verb here? It is understood. It is understood that the doctor is wondering, or the doctor wondered that there had been a great loss of blood. That there had been a great loss of blood. Maybe you would have seen a patient there. They were trying to bring him to the hospital after maybe a heavy accident or something like that. So the doctor must have seen the patient and they would have expressed his feeling. Oh, what a great loss of blood. Expressing sorrow, expressing pain, expression of feelings. Okay guys, now more or less we have done with the exclamatory and we have done with the interrogative, imperative and statements. And this is more or less the direct indirect speech grammar item in English. But then I am just going to help you to understand a few questions point of view. See, for example, for 11th and 12th standards these days, you have a question in your new question pattern. What is that? Reporting a dialogue. See, reporting a dialogue. And that is the question asked. So, if you are thorough with all the explanations that I had been dealing with so far about the direct and indirect speech, you can easily report the video. Report the dialogue that is given for question. Look at the question there. Report the dialogue. Which means that it is already understood. You have to write the given information in reported speech. Okay, in reported speech. Now let me give an example, one or two examples, so that it will become a complete understanding what direct and indirect speech is all about. Sometimes they may directly ask you to change a sentence from direct to indirect or indirect to direct. And sometimes they will ask you to give a reported speech by giving a dialogue, as if two persons are dialoguing or speaking. So let me give an example now. See, I will write it on the board. I hope you can understand what I am trying to say now. And this is going to be a certain question. One question in your new question pattern, both for 11th standard as well as in 12th standard. So what would be your question there? Report the dialogue. See, report the following dialogue. So the question will be, instruction will be given like this. Now let me write the dialogue. The teacher and the student they are speaking now. A student comes late to the school. A student comes late to the school. So first the teacher is saying, the teacher, why are you late? Why are you late? Now the student is answering. What is the answer of the students here? Why are you late? Sir, I had to go to the hospital. I had to go to the hospital. Now teacher is again questioning. Why? What happened? what happened? See what happened. Then the student is answering, I met. So let us be a little more positive here. I took a patient, or I took my grandma or grandpa, whomever you like, grandma to the hospital. Yes, enough. So two sentences, two conversations for each other. Now this is your question there. So what are you supposed to do? You have to report this dialogue. Now how do you begin to write the answer here? How are you going to answer this question? Remember, this is nothing but direct indirect speech sentence. So the words of the actual speakers are given here without the inverted commas. So we don't need inverted commas provided if the persons are provided with here. So we know that who are talking. So you don't have to write anything inverted commas there. Teacher is saying, the student is answering. Teacher is asking, the student is answering. Now we must be extremely careful. The words that are spoken there by the speakers, either they will be in statements or interrogative sentences or imperative sentences or exclamatory sentences. Now you can easily identify what is the first dialogue. Why are you late? What is the sentence there? It is an interrogative sentence beginning with the W is question word. And how does the student answer? Sir, I had to go to the hospital. I had to go to the hospital. It's a statement. Again the teacher is asking, why? What happened? Another interrogative sentence. And the student is answering, I took my grandma to the hospital. I took my grandma to the hospital. Again another statement. Now how do you write this? How do you write this as a reported speech? So how do you begin? You have to begin your answer by describing the words that are spoken by the teacher, because this is the teacher is the starter. He is the one who begins the conversation. So we better begin our answer with this. So how do you say now? The teacher. What is the teacher actually doing here? The teacher asked, because your verb is present here. The teacher asked, whom is he asking actually? Asked the student. The teacher asked the student. Now remember, this is an interrogative sentence. So what must you do? You have to retain the same question word. Why? That is the question word here. Are is your present tense verb, and after writing why, you have to immediately write the subject. Now what is the subject here? You is a pronoun. So that must be changed into a subject here. The teacher asked the student why. Since there is no mention of any gender, female or male in that, you can write anything. Why he or she, or is your present tense. So that becomes a past tense. Why she was late. Of course, this is an indirect question there. See, the teacher asked the student why he or she was late. Now what does the student do? The student replied. The student replied. Because the student is actually answering. You can say even the students replied or answered, I had to go to the hospital. So this is a statement. So what did you do? What should you do? You must have the conjunction word that. The student replied that he or she had to go to the hospital. Since you have already the past perfect tense, or you can think had, you can maintain the same tense here. That she had to go to the hospital. She had to go to the hospital. She had to go to the hospital. So one portion is over, one part is over. Now again the teacher is asking. What is he asking? The teacher inquired. The teacher inquired. Now again this is another example of an interrogative sentences. Inquired why and added. Now I am adding this word here and added because he is asking another question here. And added what? Now happened is here, past tense verb here. So you can use past perfect here. Of course you can have the same verb, but it is understood if you write the past perfect form for the past tense, it is very acceptable. So why and added what had happened. See what had happened. What had happened. And what is the answer of the student? The student answered or replied that because this is a statement. I took my grandpa to the hospital. So how would you write? That he or she, subject, he or she took is past tense. So you can write it into past perfect tense. So she had to take. She had to take, or straight away you can write she took. Whose grandpa? His or her grandpa. So her grandpa went to the hospital. See, this is the answer. This is how your question is going to be, especially for 11th and 12th students. Certainly there will be question of this type. See now, this looks like more or less like a paragraph there. This is nothing but writing the conversation that is given in direct speech and you are reporting it and writing as an indirect speech. That's the answer there. Okay guys. So, this is an example of reporting a dialogue. Now, similarly, you can write the conversation in the other way also. Writing the vice versa. See? Okay? So, we can have a lot of examples like this. You yourself can think of any conversation. So, you can say, two friends are speaking there. One friend might say, how are you? And the answer of the friend could be, I am fine. So how would you write this into a reported speech? Friend inquired how he was, and another friend answered he was fine, that he was fine. So this is how we develop the conversation in direct and indirect speech. Is that clear, guys? I hope this should give a lot of assistance and a guidance to understand direct and indirect speech better in the future. So if you have any questions, if you have any clarifications, please write it in the comment box. Subscribe this channel so that whatever I release will be coming to you as immediately as possible. You can rectify your questions. So write your comment there. So with this, I thought I would complete the direct and reported speech grammar. Maybe if time permits, I will come back to that later, depending upon your comments that you give me in the future. We will try to discuss some more. After reading your comments, I will try to solve your problems. And as a conclusion for this direct and indirect speech, remember as we began from the introduction, first identify whether the given sentences are in direct speech or in indirect speech. If it is in direct speech, the portion will be within the inverted commas. If you don't find any inverted commas, certainly the sentences will be in reported speech. And try to remember the basic rules that you need to follow in pronoun, adverbial, subject and in tenses. And then depending upon the nature of the sentence, for statement you have certain rules, for interrogative sentences you have certain rules, for exclamatory sentences you have certain rules, and for imperative sentences you have certain rules. So try to work out, try to write as many sentences as possible and check it for yourself. Check it for yourself. What I am doing here with you is only a guidance. I am just helping you to understand at the beginning level. Even if you are at the beginning level, you could have easily have understood to more or less what is direct and indirect speech is all about. Now you have got all the confidence in you. After looking at observing my videos, you can easily identify. As I told you in the previous videos, just look for sentences in your books, in magazines and in newspapers and try to change from direct to indirect or indirect to direct. Okay guys, I think this is enough for this video. So let me stop here. So I hope you have understood the direct and indirect speech very well and try to change as many sentences as possible and become efficient people in writing the correct grammar sentences by using reported and direct speech sentences in English. Okay then, bye guys for the time being. See you in the next video. Thank you.